Hello there. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is really interesting, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. So, just a little backstory about me. I grew up with a mom, a couple aunts, and a couple uncles who are really into this MBTI thing. What is it? Well, essentially it is a thing that assesses a person's personality type, like it says, and their preferences. But today we're not necessarily going to focus too much on the what, but the how. So what's the deal? Is it possible to categorize one person into one of 16 different personality types? For somebody like me, who loves to be his own snowflake in this world, it kind of makes me cringe thinking that there's millions and millions of other people who are an INFJ like myself. But regardless, right now I want to talk about some of the dangers that can come when you utilize the MBTI and how I came to realize that it's not just a fix-all, but also I want to talk about the benefits. I want to talk about how you can utilize this in your own career, and just another way that I have personally come to think this is a really useful tool. I started thinking about this concept when I read it in the book, and I realized that companies are actually utilizing tests like the MBTI to figure out who would be the best person in X position. They give an example of Amtrak. I think they wanted somebody who is in like ISFP or something like that. And it got me thinking about something that I think is really harmful. It's when if you take any one of these positions, the one extreme is you can put somebody in a box, or you can put yourself in a box, and that's where the real harm comes. So if I'm hiring for my company, and I know that somebody with a ESTJ personality type is the best person for, say, a HR director, the harm comes because I'm saying I want this person. He has the skill sets I want, and so if say an INFP applies, and I know that, I'm going to put him in a box and say you're not capable of doing that. And I think the problem can come because if people catch on and realize they're looking for a certain type of person with a certain personality to fulfill a job, I know humans have the tendency to maybe stretch the truth and to pretend to be something that they're not, to try and be extroverted when you're really an introvert. And I realized through reading a book recently that one of the most harmful things that a person can do is not be authentically themselves. The world needs people who have come alive and who have accepted who they are, not just accepted, but they're thrilled about what makes them tick and what they love. So, just want to first say that there's a real danger to using the MBTI if you are putting yourself or putting others into a box. I had a chance recently to sit down with a professor that I've learned a lot from this semester, and I wanted to ask him a question. I wanted to ask, and I did, why don't more professors teach the way that you do? I've learned so much, and I'm just curious. And what he said was really insightful, I thought. He said that if a professor is not teaching in a style that fits with their personality, then it's going to be harmful for the students and draining for the professor. And that gets into the whole idea of academic freedom. He said, I don't know a whole lot about that, so we won't talk about it. But it got me thinking about these Myers-Briggs type indicators and how they can be utilized for good and not evil. So I think they can be really helpful if it assists you in learning who you are and what drives you, what gets you going. And so we look at strengths and weaknesses and see areas that might allow us to excel in a position, and then some things that we need to make note of and realize that these might be hard for us. This past year I had the opportunity to serve on the executive committee for my fraternity, and it was here that I actually got to experience both the pros and the cons of what I've been talking about today. So the guy who came before me was very different than me. He was very task-oriented. He would get into people's face, and he was good at what he did. And so I came into the position thinking I had to be like him. And quickly I found out, not quickly, for the whole first semester, I felt really drained. I didn't enjoy the position. It sucked the life out of me. And honestly, I didn't do a good job. Um, but it was when I started thinking more about who I am at a core level, I was able to set goals for myself that more fit with what kept me ticking. And honestly, this last semester, I felt like I've been able to breathe easier and just enjoy the position more and do a better job. So, for example, so my personality type is an INFJ. I think I mentioned that earlier. But one of the strengths is they want people to feel loved and like accepted. And so I set a goal for myself to meet with everybody on my administrative committee at least once this semester. It's something I'm still working towards, but it's allowed me to have more of a personal connection with them, and in the process get some brainstorming sessions in. But it's really it's been a treat to set that goal and experience something that really gets me going. But at the same time, we have to look at our weaknesses and understand that there are some things about me that I have to be aware of. So for the INFJ, they always need a cause. They don't want to do things that they can't see the real purpose to. So I hate administrative tasks. I just don't like them. But my position requires that I take them and do them well. And so when something comes up, I have to put it on my calendar and say, all right, Hunter, you got to get it done. And then I just grit my teeth and do it and don't think too much about it. So I was really able to experience how knowing my personality type can push me to set goals and also to be aware of where some weaknesses are. So actually, recently I got to share my personal action plan with my aunt, who is an INFJ like myself. She was really interested, and she emailed me back, and it was really encouraging. She said that after 40 years of life, she's really come to love who she is, and she's started to just feel more alive in the careers that she's doing and even the way that she's mothering her children. And it was just encouraging to not be thinking about my weaknesses, but to think about, what are some of my strengths, and just step into it and not just be okay with it, but love it. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts today on this topic. My hope is that it excites you to be you and share you with the world.